Your microphone is muted, Todd.
Ah, there we go. So, again, sorry if you didn't. We'll go back here and go over this again. Reminder, quiz 1128 is due. Oops, you just lost my share screen too, didn't you? I had issues with that at the end of last week too. It would start cutting out my shared screen. You guys are not seeing my computer screen, are you?
Not at the moment.
Okay, let me.
Nope.
There we go. So anyway, quiz 1128 is out there for today, due tomorrow at noon. And as I was saying, on Wednesday, November 4th, I'm going to be gone for appointments, so there won't be math class on Wednesday, November 4th. So that's in 2 days. I'll be here tomorrow, though, so just wanted to give you a couple of days ahead to plan ahead. So anyway, let's start over with this one here. So for this one, we have the decimals in there, so it makes it look more complicated. But it's the exact same process as any other equation. Here, to build this equation, x was multiplied by 4.2, and 8.4 was subtracted from it. To solve it, we're going to add the 8.4. On the left side, that's going to leave us with just the 4.2x. On the right side, 2.1 plus 8.4 is 10.5. Then we have to divide by 4.2. X equals 10.5 divided by 4.2, I believe, is 2.5. So we get x equals 2.5. Now, just like with any other equation, we can always substitute back in the original equation and make sure we get the same value on each side. Only here, 4.2x becomes 4.2 times 2.5 minus the 8.5 equals 2.1. So we already have the 2.1 on the left or on the right side. There's nothing to combine there. On the left side here, 4.2 times 2.5 is it is 10.5. I was just double checking to make sure. And then 10.5 minus 8.4 is 2.1. So we do get the same value on both sides. Or we could have fractions. We might have 3/4 x plus 2.5 equals 4 1/4. Well, to solve this, again, it's the same steps as we've used before. X has been multiplied by 3/4, and then 2.5 was added to it. So we're going to subtract 2.5. So we have 3/4 x. Now again, we have to do the operation with the fractions, which might take a little more work. We have to come up with common denominators, which is going to be fourths. 1/2 will become 2/4. We go to subtract here, 1/4 minus 2/4. We're going to have to borrow. This will be 3, and this is now 5/4. 5 minus 2 is 3/4, and 3 minus 1 is 1, so this is 1 3/4. And finally, to get x by itself, we divide by 3/4. X equals 1 3/4 divided by 3/4. Well, first of all, I'm going to change the 1 3/4 into an improper fraction. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7/4. And then to divide, I'm going to change it to multiplying by the reciprocal, so it'll be times 4/3. So the 4's cross cancel out. Both divide by 4 to give us 1 and 1. 7 times 1 is 7. 1 times 3 is 3. 7/3, or 2 1/3. So x equals 2 1/3. The fractions can come into play in our equations in a slightly different way. It might look like this. So it's not really any fractional coefficients or anything. It's just there is the left side of this equation is a fraction. But if you remember this symbol here, we called it a fraction bar. And it told us to do everything on top first, then everything on bottom, and then divide. So if you look here at what was done to x in this equation, x was multiplied by 3, then 7 was added. That's everything on top. There's nothing to do on bottom, so then we divided by the 4. So to take this apart, the last piece that was put on was dividing by 4. That's the first piece we take off. We take it off by multiplying by 4. So on the left side, we've removed that dividing by 4, so all that's left there is the 3x plus 7. On the right side, we've got 7 times 4 is 28. And now this looks like our other equations that we've solved. We're going to subtract 7. Get 3x equals 21. And divide by 3. X equals 7. You might run into something like this. When we see this equation, the first thing that should jump out at us is the parentheses. And whenever we see parentheses, it should scream at us to do something here first. So we see that parentheses, the first thing we'll check is to see if there's anything that needs to be done inside the parentheses. Well, we have a 2x and a negative 7. There is nothing that can be combined inside that parentheses. There's nothing to do inside the parentheses. Well, the second thing is to check to see if something needs to be done to the parentheses. Well, and here that parentheses is being multiplied by 8. So we'll distribute the 8. 8 times 2x is 16x. 8 times negative 7 is a negative 56. And of course, on the other side, we still just have the 24. This coincides with that first step that we talked about in the first hour of solving equations, of combining what you can on either side. Sometimes it's distributing through parentheses like that. Of course, now we can solve. We're going to add the 56. 16x equals 80. And then we can divide by 16. X equals 5. we might have three times 7x plus 2 equals 90. So again, we see those parentheses. There's nothing to do inside of them. We're going to multiply by the 3. 3 times 7x is 21x. 3 times 2 is a positive 6. And now again, this is an equation that we know how to solve. Subtract 6. 21x equals 84. Divide by the 21. X equals 4. I'm going to have you guys try one similar to that in your notes. So 5 times 3x minus 8 equals 50. I'll give you a minute to solve that, then we'll go over it. So, again, there's nothing to do inside the parentheses, so we're going to multiply by the 5. 5 times 3x is 15x. Five times negative 8 is a negative 40. Next, we'll go ahead and add 40. (15x) equals 90. Divide by 15 to get x equals 6. Now, some people ask at this point, couldn't we have just divided by 5 here and then solved the rest of it? Or divided by 3 here and solved it and avoided those big numbers? Well, on these two equations, we could, but that doesn't always work on our equations with parentheses. We might have an equation like this with parentheses. 4 times 3x minus 2 minus 2 equals 50. So here, because of that extra term there outside of the parentheses, we can't just divide by 4 here. but we can still follow our steps for solving equations. We'll combine what we can on each side. The parentheses, there's nothing to do inside them. But we'll multiply by the 4. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Well, we still have that negative 2 there. Well, before we go over to the right side, let's finish combining. There's more things we can combine on the left side. We have negative 8 and negative 2 to combine. So we have the 12x, negative 8 and negative 2 make negative 10. On the right side, we just have the 50. There's nothing to combine over there. Now we can go ahead and solve. We'll add 10 to both sides. 12x equals 60. And divide by 12. X equals 5. Give this one a shot in your notes. Go over it in a minute. So on the left side here, we see the parentheses. Nothing to do inside them, so we're going to multiply by the 2. 2 times 5x is 10x. 2 times 1 is 2. We still got that positive 3x there. Still combining on the left side, 10x and 3x is 13x. Still have the plus 2. That's all we can combine on the left side. Going over to the right side, there's nothing to combine. It's just going to be the 41. Now we're going to go ahead and subtract 2. 13x equals 39. And divide by 13. X equals 3. Now this next one I'm throwing out here just because it's one that a lot of people make mistakes on. we have that minus in front of those parentheses. Well, there's more to it than just a subtraction. What we have to think of that as is a negative 1 multiplying the parentheses, or being distributed through the parentheses. So we look at that left side, there's nothing to do inside the parentheses. So we are going to multiply by the negative 1. I'll bring down the 2x, there's nothing happening to that. Negative 1 times 5x is negative 5x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. Now we still have things to combine on that left side. 2x and negative 5x is a negative 3x. We still have the plus 1. On the right side, nothing to combine. We just have the 16. Now we're ready to solve. We'll subtract 1. Negative 3x equals 15. And then we'll divide by a negative 3. X equals 15 divided by a negative 3 is a negative 5. So here we'll have 7 times 2x plus 5 minus 6x equals 5 times 6x minus 3 minus 2x plus 4. This one kind of combines a little bit of everything that we've seen. But it's just a matter of following those steps. We combine everything we can on each side. On the left side here, we have parentheses. Nothing to do inside there, so we're going to multiply by the 7. 7 times 2x is 14x. 7 times 5 is 35. Then we have that negative 6x. Well, we're still combining on the left side. We'll finish the left side before we move over to the right side. 14x and negative 6x make 8x plus 35. On the right side, we have the parentheses, nothing to do inside the parentheses, so we're going to multiply by the 5. 5 times 6x is 30x. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Well, the rest of this, the negative 2x and the positive 4, haven't changed. We'll keep combining. We got 30x and negative 2x is 28x. Negative 15 and a positive 4 is a negative 11. We have now combined everything that we can combine on either side. Next, we have to make sure the variable's on only one side. Right now it's on both sides. So I'm going to get rid of the 8x on the left side. It's positive, so I'm going to subtract it. So the 8x is gone. I have 35 on the left side. 28x minus 8x is 20x. We'll have the minus 11. Add 11 to both sides. We're now ready to solve, of course. That's 46 now equals 20x. And my last step to solve it is to divide by the 20. 46 divided by 20 is 2.3 equals x. Now, if you had wanted to leave that as a fraction instead of turning it into a decimal of 2.3, remember, division and fractions are kind of interchangeable. It even looks like a fraction when I write it the way I have. 46 divided by 20 can just be thought of as 46 over 20. We can reduce both of those by 2, which is 23 over 10. Then we can reduce that to a mixed number. 10 goes into 23 twice with 3 left over, so 3/10 left over. Any questions there? Okay, so that is really the different varieties of equations that we can run into. We will do more on this tomorrow with more fractions and stuff tomorrow. For now, just continue the homework I gave you in the first hour. We've got about 19 minutes left, so I'll let you have that 19 minutes to keep going on the homework. I will be here yet for a little while.